thunderstorm warnings in our area.
David Hinkhouse.
A drunken driver's sentence is delayed and unleashes an emotional storm for a Saratoga family.
My family is dead and no one cares about them. No one. No, they don't. No, they don't. DWI kills, but they're not doing nothing about it.
And if they offer to pay a fortune for putting letters in envelopes, you'll see why you should tell them to stuff it.
Plus minutes could make a life or death difference for a missing Columbia County man.
Stay with us. News Center 6 is straight ahead.
Ernie Tetrault, Liz Bishop, sports with John Graney, and meteorologist Neal Estano with the forecast to count on. Now, live, the #1 news in the Capital Districts. This is News Center 6.
Good evening. The top story, Hurricane Andrew is racing toward a new target.
That's right. Right now, the killer storm has Louisiana in its sights. Dan Rather is in New Orleans, where gale winds have already begun to hit. He filed this report just a short time ago.
Gale force winds already are slapping at the southeastern tip of Louisiana below New Orleans. Now looks like New Orleans may miss the worst of it, but hurricanes are notorious for erratic behavior, and that fact has millions of people along the Gulf Coast warily watching Andrew tonight. Now, the official hurricane watch area stretches roughly from Freeport in Houston, Texas, on over to Mobile, Alabama. But the official hurricane warning area within that goes from about Morgan City in Pascagoula, Mississippi, on over to Point Bolivar, Texas. But the savvy hurricane watchers in Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi are saying to themselves that the area of greatest potential is about New Iberia, Louisiana, on over to just below Port Arthur, Texas. Everyone understands that that could change quickly. It's also well understood that with sustained winds of 140 miles an hour, this hurricane is an especially dangerous one. Dan Rather, CBS News, New Orleans.
Well, Florida residents have learned firsthand that Hurricane Andrew must be taken seriously.
Yesterday, they rushed from their homes with Andrew hot on their tails. Today, they returned to survey the damage, fight long lines for food and water, and search for shelter. This disaster has left 50,000 people homeless, 15 people dead, and caused billions of dollars in damage. Now, which people in what areas are likely to find themselves in the same situation as the unfortunate Florida residents?
Well, meteorologist Neal Estano has been tracking the storm, and he joins us now from the Weather Center with some predictions. Neal?
Well, here's how it looks right now. The storm is just south of Louisiana. It is continuing its westward track, but things are changing a little bit with its track. Let's zoom on in here and show you what's happening with the storm. Now, movement is west-northwesterly, a little north of where it's been the last couple of days. It's been pretty much on a westerly track. Now it's starting to recurve a bit to the north, as you can see, just south of Louisiana, south of the Bayou area, continuing to move inward. Now, it looks like it will be coming up around Lafayette, Louisiana, which is south-central Louisiana. There's the latest winds, pressure, etc. Really very little change since earlier today and yesterday. Hasn't lost any strength, and very little change in strength is expected as the storm moves inland. Now, here's a tape of the last 12 hours as it moved through the Gulf of Mexico. As you can see, a very well-defined storm and a tight central overcast area. And that means the storm is very mature, very strong, and again, very dangerous and possibly deadly. Now, getting back to what's happening in our area, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 6:30 for Schoharie County. Also a flood warning for Schoharie County until 8:30. We do have some thunderstorms around the area. I'll have more on that for you in just a couple more minutes. Liz and Ernie.
Well, what would you guess the odds were of an Albany man having two relatives in two different states affected by Hurricane Andrew? That's what Albany County Clerk Tom Klingen is asking himself. His sister, Kathleen Harrington, has been forced to flee her home near New Orleans, and his grandmother, Margaret Newton, had to abandon her mobile home in Florida in the area hardest hit by the hurricane.
Mobile home down there.
Well, she's a longtime resident of Florida. In fact, in 1965, she lost her third husband during another hurricane, the last bad one to hit Miami. And she certainly knew what she was in for, and that's why she moved to a more permanent structure inland.
Klingen tells us his family has just made contact with their grandmother and that she's fine, living in a motel. Her home, however, was destroyed. And we'll have a complete update on Hurricane Andrew on News Center 6:30, so stay with us for that.
Well, on to other news now. It's been 1 year since a drunk driver killed 4 members of a Saratoga family. But the man who pleaded guilty to manslaughter for driving drunk has never been sentenced.
Ernie, the surviving family members say the past year has been alcohol hell. And Saratoga County News Chief Mary Beth Wenger says that anguish continued in court today.
Well, Liz and Ernie, the families of Arthur and Sabrina Rouse say that this is just another painful blow after a year of seeking justice. The Rouses and their 3 children were killed by an admitted drunk driver last August.
My poor family is dead and no one cares about them. No one. No, they don't. No, they don't. DWI kills, but they're not doing nothing about it.
Nancy Rouse couldn't contain her grief at a delay in the sentencing of David Hinkhouse. Hinkhouse pleaded guilty to manslaughter in the drunk driving accident that killed her son and his family. In 1985, she lost another son to drunk driving. The pre-sentencing report was held up and sentencing delayed for another 2 weeks. Sabrina Rouse's father called it a farce.
None of the people here, their lives will ever be the same. You lose 5 members of your family and then be dragged through this.
Under a new law, the family has the option to make a victim's impact statement at sentencing.
I don't know if it'll have any bearing on his sentence, but at least he'll know what he's done to this family.
They are the coming era of change. Victims' voices.
District Attorney David Waite says Hinkhouse has a right to review the report, even though a delay is painful for all.
It's painful for me because I'm the one who has to be the messenger. There would be no sentence if we had not achieved the conviction for everything he could have been charged for.
The Rouses feel that because Hinkhouse was an assistant trainer at the Saratoga flat track, that someone with influence has held up this sentencing so as not to mar the image of the meet. However, his attorney, Robert Wilcox, denies that and calls Hinkhouse a person of conscience who fully understands the enormity of what happened. Sentencing will be on September 8th. Liz and Ernie?
Mary Beth, it's this victim's impact statement that caused the delay, right?
No, it isn't. It was a pre-sentence report that was not in on time, and that's what caused the delay. The impact statement is ready to go from what we understand.
And that'll be read at the time of sentencing?
That's right, and we understand this may well be the first time or one of the first times that the right to do that is exercised under this new law.
Mary Beth Wenger reporting live. Thank you.
In Saratoga County, 2 Malta teenagers stand indicted today in the grisly stabbing death of Clifton Park resident Dennis Jerome. The indictments charge 16-year-olds Matthew Gaspara and Matthew Wilson with 3 counts of murder and robbery. Prosecutors say the teens stabbed Jerome more than 300 times and left him naked on the floor of his Fishers Ferry home. But the suspects are claiming that Jerome attacked them after Gaspara tried to break away from Jerome during a sex encounter. A live-in health aide accused of beating the wheelchair-bound woman she was hired to take care of pleads not guilty to charges in Albany County Court. 34-year-old Mary E. Umpierre allegedly hit 84-year-old Carolyn Brown with a hammer. The incident began after Brown discovered her assistant had reportedly stolen thousands of dollars from her. Umpierre is being held without bail on attempted murder and assault charges.
Reports of a shooting sent Schenectady police racing to Emmett Street. But when they got there, a witness told them the gunman had taken off. The witness told police an Hispanic man fired 5 shots at someone but never hit his target. The alleged incident took place near Tony's Market. An area residents have been complaining is becoming increasingly dangerous. Well, now that the weather has taken a turn for the worse, concerns about a missing Columbia County man are rising. Police tell us 85-year-old Frank Smith left behind a note saying he was headed to a cave to kill himself by taking a bottle of aspirin. The note was found in Smith's house on Route 9J yesterday. State troopers, tracking dogs, and volunteers have been searching the area, but so far have turned up no sign of Smith.
Still to come on News Center 6, Woody Allen's nude photos of Mia's daughter are unwrapped in court.
But first, you'll see how officials are trying to stamp out a job scam.
It's just pure hogwash. You're not going to make a fortune stuffing envelopes working at home.
It's a scam that is spreading all over the country, and now it is targeting the capital region. Get-rich-quick schemes where you work at home and you stuff envelopes, allegedly for big bucks, are preying on the unemployed. Ken Screven reports from our Albany News Center that New York's consumer watchdog wants all of us to beware of a costly ripoff. Ken?
That's right, Ernie. These kinds of work-at-home scams have bothered consumers for many years, 30 years. But in the current midst of a current national recession with millions of people out of work, these scam operators are going for the gold. Letters like this one from the Nutrition Marketing Group of Irvine, California, have been flooding New York State and the Capital District. To people desperate to make money, this seems like a great deal. A person would sit at home, stuff envelopes, and, according to the letter, make up to $50,000 a year. At an unemployment office in Albany today, at least one jobless person was ready to take the bait. They say you can earn $1 an envelope, possibly $500 a week. Would you be interested? Would you ever respond to some kind of offer like that?
Yes, I would.
Because of the possibility of earning that much?
Yes, I would like to earn that much.
But the state's Consumer Protection Board chairman said today the public has to realize that this is a pie-in-the-sky scam.
It's just pure hogwash. You're not going to make a fortune stuffing envelopes working at home.
The same company circulating the letter is under investigation now in California. They requested potential workers to send in $39 first, and then they would get the materials they would need. In many cases, the workers got nothing, and they lost the money. This unemployed man almost took the bait years ago.
No, I responded maybe 15 years ago to an ad like that in the newspaper, and it was a fraud. They wanted something like $2,000 cash, and then they'd send me the stuff. And
so you know it's a
I know it's a fraud.
We have to say that there are legitimate work-at-home operations, and the only way you can determine that is to check them out with the Better Business Bureau, the Consumer Protection Board, or the Attorney General's office before you decide to play their game. Ernie and Liz.
If any local people have fallen for that, I would think the state's watchdog, consumer watchdog, would like to know about it.
They would definitely like to hear from them.
Get their names and follow up on it.
That's right.
Thanks, Ken. Ken Screven reporting live.
Fireworks today at the preliminary hearing in the Woody Allen Mia Farrow custody case in New York. Farrow's lawyer tried to hand over to the judge a packet of photos that supposedly contained nude pictures of Farrow's 21-year-old adopted daughter, Soon Yi. Allen has admitted publicly that he's having a love affair with her. Farrow's attorneys say the pictures call into question Allen's mental stability, but the judge refused to take them. Allen's attorney called the pictures a cheap shot that had nothing to do with the case. The celebrity couple is in court fighting over custody of 3 other children, 2 adopted, 1 biological.
Later in DiNicola's world, Brandon Lee assures Dan making martial arts movies isn't as easy as it looks.
3 days a week, 5 hours a day.
Neal's been working out in the Weather Center, running from computer to computer to cover the hurricane. That's not as easy as it looks either.
Hey, very busy indeed. We also have some active weather around here. Tell you about that right after this.
Neal Estano's Weather Outside is brought to you by Tire Warehouse.
Yesterday, Neal said we may have thunderstorms this afternoon, and doggone, we did.
Yeah, he's really done a wonderful job. I can remember the end of last week, Neal, when you were talking about Andrew and its potential, and even then you could see how big it was going to be, and how bad.
Real big storm, real big storm. Unfortunately, it looks like the northern Gulf Coast is really going to be hit hard with this, and much of that real estate in southern Louisiana, not much above sea level, if at all, such as New Orleans. It's below sea level, so just have to, it's kind of a waiting game right now. It's definitely going to happen. We have our own problems with the weather this afternoon. One problem down in Windham, New York Telephone reports 3,400 customers without phone service down there. Also, another weather-related phenomenon, ozone levels very high. Columbia and Greene County with an ozone warning out today with kind of bad air. So if you're outside being active, do try to take it as easy as you can, especially if you have asthma, emphysema, etc. Now, as far as what's happening with our temperatures, it was definitely a warm day today. We made it up to 88. Finally, we have some summer-like weather, not quite 90, but tomorrow we're going to shoot for 90. 65 is a low. A trace of rain at the Albany County Airport out here in the weather patio is about that much, about 2/100ths of an inch. Right now, skies are mostly cloudy. There are some areas of fairly heavy rain around. I'll show you that on radar in just a second. 72 degrees, but the big story, the humidity, the dew point has just jumped up to 70 degrees. That is some sticky stuff, and pressure fluctuating a bit with these thunderstorms developing. Checking out the live National Weather Service radar, here's what's happening. The heaviest rain this afternoon has been down through the Catskills. Schoharie County, also some heavy rain, with a flood warning in effect until 8:30 in Schoharie County. Also, the heavy rain down through the Catskills has caused the Weather Service to post a flood watch in there through this evening. Here's the showers, thunderstorms, some of them quite heavy, but not a lot of wind, which is good news. Few reports of limbs down. That's been about it. Also another batch of showers and thunderstorms from the southern Adirondacks across central and northern sections of Saratoga County, extending northward up and around Lake George. Showers and thunderstorms here. Now on the regional scale, let's show you what's happening. Most of the activity is within our viewing area. Get further south, it's dry as a bone. Get to the north, it's dry as a bone up there as well. So most of the activity is right around here. I mentioned that dew point, with the dew point close to 70, last hour 69, now up to 70, getting into the oppressive range. It's going to be a sticky night tonight. If you have air conditioning, I think you're going to want to use it. The reason? High pressure just to our south with the south to southwest wind flow. Warm, humid weather continues in the eastern half of the country. The cool weather stays to the west. I don't see this thing moving too far to the east, so it looks like the warm, humid weather will continue for much of this week. Going down, just got a radar picture of the hurricane down south of New Orleans, and we're seeing some very heavy rain moving into the southern sections of Louisiana. This picture about 5 minutes old, so very updated. This is where the storm is, moving toward the west-northwest at 16 miles per hour. We'll be moving to areas around Vermilion Bay right here. That's probably where it's going to make landfall later on this evening. Radar loop shows most of the activity off to our west, but you can see how those thunderstorms developed over New York State, Pennsylvania this afternoon and this evening. Good news is things will wind down tonight. More in the forecast right after this. This evening, it's going to be on the muggy side with scattered thunderstorms, some of the rain on the heavy side, and there is a flood watch and warning in effect for the Catskill-Schoharie Valley. Now, as far as overnight tonight, it's going to be a muggy night, low temperature in the mid-60s, some areas of fog forming. Tomorrow, more of the same, hazy, hot, humid, more afternoon thunderstorms. Could hit 90. It'll only be the third time so far this year. Tomorrow night, it will be muggy again, low in the upper 60s. And the forecast for the rest of the week, I expect another sticky day on Thursday with some rain likely, remnants of Andrew moving in Friday, and then the weekend right now is looking dry. 518-476-WRGB is the weather phone. It's sponsored by KeyBank, so that's the way it looks. And I'll be watching things for you throughout the evening.
And you feel Andrew will miss New Orleans, right?
It looks like it will. Just give them some fairly strong east to northeast winds. Hopefully it will miss New Orleans. That would be a tragedy.
Thank you, Neal. Time now to check on what's coming up on News Center 6:30.
And we're going to join Marty Aarons, who is in the newsroom right now, to fill us in on what's coming up. Marty, nice to see you.
Well, thanks, Liz. Hi, Ernie, as well. Let me tell you what's coming up on News Center 6:30. Hurricane Andrew is turning its fury on Louisiana, as Neal just told us. We'll take you there live as thousands of residents flee to higher ground. In good news, an emotional story, Tom Maley tells us what we can do to help save thousands of starving and dying children in Somalia. And let's check in now with Money Editor Jack Aernecke. It has been a busy day. Jack?
Marty and Liz, we're going to look at the issue of paid time off that you can donate to someone else. It appears to be a growing trend. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the action on Wall Street and a reminder that we'll have some individual stocks on News Center 6:30.
Not a bad Tuesday on Wall Street. We'll have those stories and much more just about 10 minutes from now. And I promise after Houston never to complain about the humidity here.
Okay, nice to have you back, Marty. Thank you. Well, boxing used to be the most basic of all sports, but the day of simplistic clothing appears to be a part of the past, in particular to one world-class fighter. John will have the colorful story coming up in sports.
News Center 6 Sports is sponsored by your upstate Lincoln Mercury dealers.
A new coach for the Union football program has not only some big expectations, but some big shoes to fill.
One of the problems with taking over a successful program is the expectations, Liz. We all know that. That new coach is John Audino, a former assistant at Union, who became the head man after the immensely successful Al Bagnoli ended a 10-year reign to move on to Pennsylvania in the Ivy League. Audino put his club through their paces today in preparation for their opener at home against St. Lawrence on September 12th. Last year's team went 10-1, losing in the second round of the Division III playoffs to Ithaca. 11 starters have graduated off that team, but expectations will be high again as Union has developed into one of the premier football programs in the nation. Defending champion Michael Steek has his opening match at the OTB tennis tournament pushed back a bit today due to the rain. He's playing right now. This is the top seed among the women, big Helena Sokova, who drew Dominique Monami in the opening round. The 6'2" Sokova has won more than $4 million over a career in which she has beaten the best, Graf, Navratilova, Everett, and she had little trouble today with Monami winning with ease to move to the second round of play. There were a pair of upsets among the women as Nicole Provis lost to Mikey Babel and Rachel McQuillan was shocked by a qualifier, Shiting Wang. Form held up among the men as Wayne Ferreira, Andrei Chesnikov, and last year's finalist Emilio Sanchez all advanced. The Mets' offense has been so bad this year, they put in a call for a doctor last night to find the cure, the renowned Dr. Gooden. He decided to take matters in his own hands last night in San Francisco when he belted his 2-run home run to break a 1-all tie in the fourth, and it turned out to be the winning blow as he pitched the Mets to their third win in their last 17 games. Check out the greeting Doc got when he returned to his office in the dugout. Racing is not the only form of horse activity in Saratoga. It just seems that way. The 4th annual get-together for cutting horses got underway today, with the show scheduled to run through Thursday. These horses are trained to keep herds under control. The horses are trained to pounce back and forth and are not easy on the riders at all. The Cutter's Ball will be held tonight at 7 at the Saratoga City Center. Boxer Jorge Paez has always been known as a rather colorful character, but last night he even outdid any of his previous ring appearances. Check out his arrival into the ring. Now, Mike Tyson used to wear the bare necessities, a towel with a hole punched out over his head, no socks, but not Perez. When the robes were off, his trunks looked like more like a skirt, and he was not adverse to showing them off, even right in front of his opponent. He went on to win the fight.
Well, that sport needs something. Maybe that's it.
It was too much, I think, that outfit. Think about it.
Coming up in DiNicola's world, Brandon Lee is off the old block. Tonight in DiNicola's world, we meet Bruce Lee's son, Brandon, who gets a real kick out of his work.
Brandon Lee, son of martial arts icon Bruce Lee and son of a Swedish mother. Brandon Lee, now a star in his own right in Rapid Fire.
My dad started training me in the martial arts as soon as I could walk. There wasn't a lot of avoiding it in my household when I was young, because my dad was a really fanatical trainer. But after he passed away, there was a period of time where I didn't train for a while.
How old were you when your father passed away?
8.5.
Did you imagine yourself making a martial arts movie when you were growing up?
I imagined myself making a movie all the time I was growing up. And I guess I always had an idea that the first thing that I got a big part in would probably be something where I had the chance to use martial arts. But I didn't really plan on it. It just, that's what came down the turnpike first.
Lee bristles when you talk to him about being typecast as a martial arts performer.
It's important to me in my career to have the chance to do a wide variety of things. I don't want to make the same movie over and over and over again.
And the graduate of Emerson College and former bartender does not want you to think he's the beneficiary of connection.
It's been almost 20 years since my dad passed away. It's not as if there were a lot of my dad's old contacts waiting around to welcome me with open arms.
He wants you to know that although the choreography was tough, the fights were kid stuff.
Frankly, there isn't anything in the film that was any more difficult than the stuff that I'm accustomed to doing in daily workouts anyway.
From New York, Dan DiNicola, News Center 6.
My dad started.
Sounded as if he did all his own stuff and didn't use a double.
Yeah, you know, his dad was immensely popular. I guess I just wasn't into that kind of movie, but he had a huge following. It'll be interesting to see if they follow the son now.
Yeah.
That's News Center 6 for tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Stay tuned now for News Center 6:30.